We were doing our thing, going to high school and then going to college. I was in school at one point for 2 years actually in college, and then Nigel was in school as well.
He went to COC.
And then until after this happened, everything kind of changed, and that's when pretty much everything changed. So before that incident, everything was kind of, you know,
a normal family
actually,
living in
Stevenson.
Stevenson
There's one
Ridge.
story. Just before this happened, February, we had this trip, we really connected, and then we came back home, we started hanging out. And so we were taking trips together, going to Mountain High, going snowboarding together, and talking, and that's why I was there that night, because normally I would never be there for this happening, because it was after a party that we had at our house, or that he had at our house. And usually I wouldn't be invited, because I wasn't a friend, and I wasn't definitely one of his friends' friends, so, but he wanted me there, because he wanted me to hang out, and that's how this ended up happening. But I got to end off on the best terms ever, because we were super close. So it's like it's a curse and a blessing, because it's like, it's amazing that I got to end on a good note, but it's sad because I just got to taste the tease of what it could have been like to continue on. But that's one of my favorite stories just before it happens.
For 3 decades, thousands of stories were given life in our print room before being sent to your home. Each week, an individual walks into this room to give life to an incredible, one-of-a-kind story. These aren't your local politicians or well-known celebrities. They are everyday people, much like yourself, eager to share a piece of their lives with you.
It was just one night at our house where she had just left that morning to go to Chicago, where she was doing work and stuff. And it was an empty house for him, and so he had some friends over, and we were drinking. As the night continued, we were just hanging out in my room. There wasn't very many people. There was literally 6 or 7 people. It's not very many. And the night started to slow down a bit. People were going to sleep and stuff. And so me and Nigel and my friend were sitting in my room, and he was obviously intoxicated, and he had a little drug that he had with him, and it's called Opana. So it wasn't heroin or anything, but it's just as powerful as heroin because it's Oxycontin and morphine mixed in the same pill. And so he decided for some reason to stand up and go across the hallway to the bathroom, crush it up and snort it, and come back in my room. And when he came back, he was completely changed. He was nodding in and out of consciousness, kind of falling asleep in my chair. And so when I saw that, I was kind of like, Nigel, wake up. So he stood up and he walked right across the hallway to the other room, is where he literally laid down flat, fell asleep, just totally asleep position, like out.
I had been texting Nigel and he wasn't responding. And so I finally, and I had been calling his phone. I intuitively, I think it's
Definitely
a mom thing, I knew something was not right. And so I called him and I said, I've been calling your brother like 12 times. Go wake him up and tell him to call me. And that's when he walked in the bedroom and found him unresponsive. It was just the most surreal
That's
thing
when all the
imaginable.
darkness came in.
They looked at us differently or they treated us differently. People would come in, instead of saying, hey, how are you? It was like, how you doing? It kept the momentum of the darkness and the sadness. And we had to find a way to take this moment in our lives and live again.
It was really
not just survive it, because
really,
it was going to be a lot of years of just surviving. And neither one of us were looking forward to that. We had done a little bit of traveling in the car, and then we came back, and I think we lasted about a week and a half, and we were like, okay, we need to go again. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, let's just do this. So I rented a Class A motorhome that I'd never driven before, we loaded up the dogs, loaded up the motorhome. I rented it for a month, And we got in it and said, which way do you want to go?
And how many states can we see?
And what was interesting is we had two goals. How many states could we take his ashes to? And we had to do something in every state that we'd never done before. We were sort of on a mission to do everything that we were afraid of previously, because fear had no meaning anymore. We had just lived through our worst, our deepest fear. But when we went on the trip, what was most interesting was that we didn't know at the time any of this was going to happen, meaning the people that we met and the experiences and the realization of our purpose here. But what I think happened is that we went with the intention to welcome whatever was going to come to us.
I felt totally and fully for the first time that me just sharing my story, my experience, and just living it by just traveling and doing our thing, we had the impact to be able to transform or open somebody's heart and try to give them inspiration or hope or some kind of calling that they serve a purpose here and that she is important just as we are important for this earth and we all are important. And it was a transformation that I fully believe is after that moment found my purpose, told me, you know, why we're here, how my simple free words were able to just make such an impact in somebody's life.
The actual mission of Recycle Your Possibilities is to walk across the country and take life a little slower, if you will, instead of driving by people, actually walking into their communities and into their lives and seeing how many people, how many more experiences we can have. We want to inspire people. We want to activate communities by having community walks. We want to go into schools and speak to junior highs and high schools, university kids, rehab centers. It's important to us, but this isn't all about drug prevention. It's about the choices that you are capable of making, that we choose to make every day, and help really inspire and give people hope that everything is possible.